issues that floated up from this? Well, interestingly, we had planners with us from all of these districts as we traipsed our way around, had chats on that. Every now and again I'd say, well, what parking standard do you apply here then? No one could tell me. They couldn't remember what the parking standard was. It didn't really matter, because you could look around and think, I reckon it's about 2 spaces per unit. And I think of nearly all of these estates we saw, which are typical Essex type estates, they were about 2 parking spaces per unit. The remote parking wasn't used hardly at all. People do not like garage calls. No point in building. They just did not like them. The parking didn't fit easily into the built form. It was an add-on. It looked alien in a lot of locations. Our survey told us that 78% of the garages were used for storage. Now we shouldn't really be surprised about that, because we build the smallest houses in Europe. If you walk around a show house, it's quite likely, if you look closely, you'll notice that some of the doors are missing. Look at the furniture that's in the lounge, and you suddenly realise it's not the furniture you can buy in. It's scaled down furniture. There's only 3 chairs around the dining room table, very small family. And if you go up into the bedrooms, you'll suddenly find there's no wardrobes. Where do you put the wardrobe? We build very small houses, so the only place you can put your white goods or your storage, it goes in the garage. And of course, we all own 2 bikes, according to the status, the data, so they're in the garage as well. Not at all for modal shift. We never thought it was. People own cars, they don't necessarily use them, and that was proven by us walking around these estates where these cars were left there during the day, and those people had happily gone off on public transport to get to work or get to the station. So it had all gone rather wrong. And we needed a step change in how we were going to deal with this in the future. So we decided we were going to go for a design guide approach. We're not going to go for a parking standard. That doesn't help anyone. What we need is a best practice. And there are some very good documents out there on best practice. Here's one, very good, recommend you have a look at that. What works where, I think, is another very good document. Well worth having a look through that. Go and have a look at Poundbury. Who's from Poundbury? Some of you from Poundbury, isn't it? Yeah. Poundbury is quite a good example of how it can work. Very wide streets in Poundbury. Garages right on the back of the footway. No one, I don't think anyone's been wiped off the footway, have they, by an opening garage door or something inside? No. And I can't remember any accident data on shared surfaces either. They work very, very well. So we came up with some what we think are good examples of parking. Some undercroft parking here, very good street materials, a mixture as well. Only thing I would say is that if you're going to use stainless steel, for people that have sight impediments of various sorts, stainless steel doesn't show up very well. But, and I'll touch on this somewhere else, you buy into these environments. You don't necessarily buy into the high street. So people that I know, there's a debate going on at the moment about how you strip out furniture and delineations in high streets and make them a shared surface, and I know guys who are sort of blind have been very agitated about that. But I don't think it's so important in these sort of locations because you buy into that. It's not something you find yourself in. You've brought into the concept. So I'm not too worried about stainless steel. We've got a lot of these in the guide as well. Which show you that you can provide the standard with on-curtilage and on-street parking. Straight pull from one of our design guides. The interesting concept here works very well. This is in Church Lane Lee in Harlow. People pay top price for these properties. They fetch a premium. The parking is semi-unallocated. It's all on street. It's a bit like the Poundbury situation. Lots of width, plenty of space. There is a through route. People love it. They like the environment, they like the quality, they like the way it all works, they like the planting. And again, with the planting, you say, well, I might get some criticism there because someone's going to walk into that, aren't you? But you buy into that environment. It's not the same as stripping stuff out of the high street. So what have we come up with? Well, we thought we would be very inflammatory, and we came up with minimum standards for residential parking. Commercial we've left alone. but for residential we're going for minimum standards. We're going for an average of about 2 spaces for a 3-bedroom house, plus 0.25 of a parking space for visitors out in the street. If you want to count your garage as a parking space, it has to be 7 by 3 internal dimensions. Builders love that. That's a very popular development, fairly standard really, fairly traditional. People actually like traditional. 1.5 setback, widely abused, I think widely misunderstood, so we've taken it away. No evidence to suggest that it's a problem from taking it away, so we've done that. Setbacks in future, 0.5 metre to allow the garage, the swinging garage door to open for those people that are really worried about pedestrians being knocked over by you standing inside your garage, swinging the door open, so 0.5 metre. If you want gates that swing, they've got to swing inwards, and you're going to need a 6 metre gap, so there's an issue there for street seeing. If you're going to close it in, that's probably not what you want to do unless you're going between units. Parking courts, disaster all round, unless they're very well designed. And we've come up with a view, which I think has been shared by Cambridge now, that anything more than 6 in a parking court is probably too many. It makes a parking court too big, too impersonal, too dangerous at night, used for other things that it shouldn't be used for. It needs to be overlooked, it needs to be lit, it needs to contain the same high quality materials that the rest of the estate is built with. If you're using block pavers, you use block pavers in there. You don't stop the block pavers here and then go into blacktop to make it cheaper. It has to be the same quality of the realm in there as it is outside. We've got some of these. They are popular and they are liked, overlooked, secure. Here's an example, unfortunately cars, but here is a quality materials all round. Overlooked, there are street lights. Can't see on this picture, but it's lit as well. Again, we've got a little bit contentious here. We've opened up the parking bay size from 4.8, 2.4 to 5.5 by 2.9. The reason for this is the research on car design means that if you're in a 4.8 or 2.4, you're probably going to have difficulty opening the door and getting out, especially if it's a 2-door vehicle. One of the reasons why vehicles are getting bigger is they're full of safety features. If you hit someone in a modern car, they roll off it. You notice there's no sharp shapes, there's no little Jaguar sign sticking out the front of that anymore, but it means that the cars are bigger. So you need a bigger parking space. We agonise quite a lot on disabled parking bay sizes, whether to give a standard. We've referred to the national standard, and that does include quite long bays for small vans that actually carry the person in the wheelchair in the back. Usually you've got to park the van there and you've got to drop the back down and get them out the back as well. So there's quite a lot of guidance in there about the different types of parking for different uses for disabled people. We're very keen on cycling in Essex. We love it. We give quite a lot of guidance on the type of parking shelter to use, the type of safety feature to put in. I love those parking ones you had on one of your pictures stuck up like that. I thought that was fantastic. We did have to adjust our parking standards, unfortunately, because the ratio we used meant that for an average Tesco supermarket we had between 250 and 300 bicycle parking spaces. Was drawn to our attention, so we modified that. But other than that, we left it alone. Other than giving what we thought was common sense, but wasn't borne out in practice. If you're going to have cycle parking, put it next to the front door, near the front door of the offices. Don't chuck it at the back of car parking. So the car park person drives up in his car, leaps into the office, keeps dry. Poor old cyclist has to leg it 100 metres, and has to leg it sometimes through the shrubbery if he wants to take a straight line to get to the front door as well. Think about the cyclist now. Right, where are we? We went out public consultation. We have got the document now signed off. It's found supplementary guidance.